2, 1. Jesse, I swear to God, if you shuffle cards throughout this podcast, dude, you're getting
Not
kicked
a
off right
chance,
away.
bro.
Episode 1, already kicked off a co-host. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of Nerd Meltdown, a Nerdsmerized podcast featuring me. My name is Jack. Joining me today, my co-hosts, we got Jesse. How you doing?
Doing great. How we doing?
Doing fantastic. And of course, we got Andrew, the sole proprietor, CEO, owner of Nerdsmerized, the real homie. Andrew, how you doing?
What's up, everyone? What's cracking?
Dude, what is cracking? So today on Nerd Meltdown, we got a lot of interesting topics to talk about. Obviously, the biggest thing going on in the nerd world, we got Avengers Infinity War. If you haven't seen mine and Jesse's spoiler review of Infinity War, stop what you're doing. Go watch that. Make sure you leave a like first, and then come back. Anyways, we're going to jump right into that because Andrew has now seen the film. He was supposed to be with us in that review, but unfortunately the times didn't work out. So let's go ahead and give it over to Andrew here, and he's going to talk about Infinity War for a couple minutes.
All right, guys. So first and foremost, obviously, if you have seen it, if you you know it's amazing. It's got its ups, it's got its downs, like any film. But all in all, it was just a crazy movie. I mean, if you think about it, like all the different theories and everything that have come out of this film and what happened, it's really hard to just even like numerize and say like this is the best part or this is the best part. There's so many iconic parts. It was really cool. Yeah. Now, I would
say by far it's probably it could be up there as the best Avengers movie. I think it has moments where it beats the first Avengers.
I agree. At times it does. I don't know. The first Avengers is kind of on its own pedestal.
I mean, it's so iconic, you know.
Yeah. First team up like ever.
Right.
It's true. Changed the face of summer blockbuster movies as we see it. That's for sure.
It definitely did. And it got companies such as DC Comics to light a fire under their ass finally when they got this full team up. They're like, holy crap, we haven't even started yet. So, I mean, it's led us to at least DC trying. I mean, I know they haven't really succeeded, but
DC getting the participation award every year. Yeah. You were there, DC. Don't worry.
We all remember you.
All right. Go ahead, I mean,
but for the most part, okay, I want to talk about a couple theories, okay? As everyone saw, we all got a lot of our favorite characters, including basically every new character, aside from Rocket Raccoon.
I think it's just Rocket and Nebula, right?
Yeah. From everyone else is gone except for the original cast, and I mean that's Sebastian Stan, who we know is the Winter Soldier. He has multiple movies still on his contract, so we obviously know some of these deaths didn't stick. Obviously, there's already another Spider-Man. There's already another Black Panther movie already scheduled. So we know that none of that really stuck. So, I mean, for me, that really kind of took a little bit of the flair out of it because I already knew.
Took all the flair out of it, if you ask me.
I mean, it did. I mean, giving us so much insight into this world and into this like cinematic universe, it really kind of locks everything up. I mean, for the most part.
But hear me out. Like, the movie is so good up until that point. But besides like some cinematographical things that I really enjoyed about how they portrayed that ending visually and audio with the music and stuff, that has to be like the most unsatisfying ending I have ever seen, period. Because you know for sure they aren't just going to kill off that many new main characters because Marvel was a money generator. So there's no way they're killing off those people. And then just like it ends so abruptly, you're just sitting here like, what the hell? Like what's good here? I want more. And like, we hit on this in the review. It feels like two movies smashed into one, and that ending I think suffered the most from that problem.
Oh, what do you think, Jesse?
Okay, well, let me hop on my soapbox for a second here.
Dude, you're already on there. You always are.
Okay, so you don't even have to be a nerd. Like, you don't have to be super into the MCU to know which characters and what movies are going to be made next because it's so in the popular conscience now. To where you don't need to be deep in the scene. Like, my dad might as well know that there's another Spider-Man movie. He could care less about this stuff. So when it's so in the popular conscience that people like Tom Holland, people like Black Panther, people like the Winter Soldier, those kind of guys, it's like, if you kill them off, other than the obvious ones that we expected to be killed off, like I thought for sure Captain America and Iron Man were going to be the two to go. Like, if you kill those two, then I'm like, okay, that makes sense because I know RDJ is tired, and I know that Chris Evans is not really down to make that many more Marvel movies. That has more stakes than if you kill somebody like Black Panther, who's one of the most popular characters of all time right now, and Tom Holland as well. So everybody knows they're coming back, so it kind of robs it from the stakes that it had. Like, originally, like, you see Winter Soldier peel away, like, what's going on? And then you see other people peel away, and you're like, oh my god, it's too much, too fast. And then the most popular characters in the series peel away, and you're like, okay, well, obviously this isn't going to be sticking. You know, obviously it's going to be something that happens in the next movie to bring him back, which is kind of a bummer, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and I see where you're coming from, but I mean, think about it this way. If we take a look at all these characters that we've had develop over all these movies, and I mean, obviously, like you said, the obvious choices are Iron Man and Cap. They should be the ones to know. They've had the longest run. They've had the most films. And obviously, like we've said, is they took all the wind out of our damn sails. I mean, really, when you think about it, when we already know these characters are going to happen, and if they really did just blow off and destroy Spider-Man, then like what the hell's going to happen to the world? Because everyone's going to riot. But the fact is, I mean, if you think about it, is it media's issue? I mean, if we knew less about films before they came out, would it make them any better?
Well,
it's a tough thing to say. I don't think there's a correct answer, but I do think it's a bummer when it's so popular conscious that you don't have to be in the scene to know. You know, like like a teenage, girl or boy who is not interested in the MCU at all and has not seen all the movies knows there's going to be another Spider-Man movie because it's so in the popular conscience, Yeah. It's not like
a commercial.
It's not like you have to be way into the scene to know that that's going to happen. So it's like, listen, if we're hardcore nerds and we know, but not everybody else knows, then I'll give you a pass. But almost everybody else knows as well.
Okay.
Well, I think. Sorry, I just want to go on that for a second.
Chime in on
because. From my limited understanding of the comic book industry and the way this has evolved into the movie industry and the mass media industry, the biggest problem that all those people have business-wise is they don't understand that they can make something very popular out of ending a storyline. There's no ending a storyline in the comic book world. There's no ending a storyline in the MCU or the DCU or like the movie expanded universes because they want to be able to make more money. And that's a little bit cynical to say, but they're going to find a way to reboot it to hell. If RDJ stops being Iron Man, they're going to find a way to reset that. The thing is, they could do some very cool things with killing off characters. And the worst part is that Infinity War kind of doubles back on itself because in the very beginning of the movie, they kill off Loki very convincingly. Mm-hmm. And I thought that's an incredibly impactful scene because it sets up right away how powerful Thanos is. You set the stakes right away. You just killed off Loki like that and almost killed Thor. But now you're just going to
Hulk as well.
Yeah, and then you're just going to neuter everybody else's deaths because of the fact we know you're not going to kill off that many characters. Because Loki's expendable, they use his death to create a very impactful moment.
He's had his time. He's had his run, and we've got attached to the character in good ways and bad. So killing him, worked.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. Yeah, I think everybody pre-snap is probably dead for good. And then post-snap, it's probably not dead for good.
Okay, Now here's my theory on that. Okay, in the comic books, the Infinity Stones, the one of the most powerful of all the Infinity Stones is the Soul Stone, and they play that up really big in this comic or in this movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got anything further on it?
You there, Andrew?
No.
We are having technical difficulties.
Stand by.
Quick, cue the Star Wars elevator music for the Family Guy cutaway that I really like.
That's a classic meme.
So, okay, in the comics, the Soul Stone is basically an entire world full of lost spirits. Adam Warlock is basically, you have the gold race from the Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, you get that after credit scene where you see where she's just sitting there saying, I made the perfect one. I figured out how to do it. And then you see this big gold cocoon that actually houses Adam Warlock, who's like the perfect being. Like he's manufactured to be 100% perfect. And he is supposed to be the one that wields the Infinity Gauntlet.
Ooh,
Oh,
interesting.
okay.
Okay, so I mean, and his abilities allow him to access and go inside the Soul Stone. Okay, so he can like pull himself into the Soul Stone using his mind. He can just go, whoosh, just teleport basically into the Soul Stone. And when he does this in the comics, he actually gets all the spirits in the Soul Stone to start fighting against Thanos and help the other stones, basically convince the other stones to work against Thanos. And that
Interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy because I mean that gives Nebula time to take the gauntlet from Thanos, put it on, and then go and I want to reverse everything that happened in the last 24 hours, and boom, everyone comes back to life.
Good old Dorothy clicking her heels. I want to go home kind of deal.
Boom,
Okay.
peace.
Since we're let me jump in here for 1 second. Since we're talking about the Soul Stone, I did hear an interesting theory, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. One of the theories I'm hearing is about Iron Man and how in the comments he holds the Infinity Gauntlet at some point. One of the theories goes that so the Soul Stone's on the Infinity Gauntlet. Does that mean you still have to sacrifice somebody you love to hold the gauntlet? And that theory goes that Iron Man's going to have to sacrifice Cap to get the Soul Stone to hold the gauntlet, which I thought was interesting. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
It is true. It is true. That's how they're going to play it in the looks like in the MCU. It's not so as much in the comics. I mean, not to that extent. You have to kill somebody, you have to sacrifice somebody. But I mean, that's kind of the way that they did it for the MCU, and I say it works.
Yeah,
it's definitely an interesting twist. And
I think it also ties in the fact that obviously Thanos and Iron Man have that big exchange on Titan. How they've been linked mentally, since the dawn of time.
That was cool.
So I mean, they almost like set it up in a way for Iron Man to make a go at Thanos and for the gauntlet.
It looks like it's going to be Tony either having to sack Captain America, obviously, like Jesse said, and really have to sacrifice him, or it's going to be something to that extent, because when you go back and you look at Doctor Strange looked at all those different outcomes, there was 14,605 outcomes, and only one of them they actually succeed. And
it better be the exact number that he said in the movie, or I'm gonna be real mad.
It is. I looked it up. But he and the one that they actually see that they succeed, obviously Tony lives, so that's why Strange is like, fuck it, here's a time stone, here, have it, Tony's gotta live, like that's it. So as long as Tony lives, so obviously they're going to use him in the long run, I think, in the next movie to really be the one that wields the gauntlet. I think he's going to be the one, or vice versa, him and Cap.
Him and Cap working back together again, that's possible for sure.
For sure.
But what I'm really wondering is, how are they even going to go about like titling and presenting this film? Because obviously, it was originally supposed to be Infinity War 1 and 2. But obviously, this film was Infinity War 1 and 2. Like, what's the next point chronologically? Avengers, we're going to save everybody. We're sorry, Reddit. Like that. They call it, like, how are they going to title this? Well,
no, I mean, the titling is going to be difficult. I mean, they're you never know with Hollywood what they're really going to do, but. When originally, like you said, it was supposed to be two movies, and now we've got this all like smashed into one, and then we're going to have basically what happens afterwards in the next film, and it's going to be standalone.
Avengers Aftermath, calling it.
Is that what the official is now, or
no? I'm just joking. I don't know.
Okay,
Avengers Infinity, Avengers Infinity and Beyond. Buzz Lightyear is going to save the day.
Avengers Shawarma 2.
Yes,
there we go. Shawarma after.
Swarm after. All right. No, but with this, what they're going to do is Kevin Feige's already gone on record saying that this is going to be basically the big introduction into Captain Marvel, is going to be the next Avengers movie. And he said this exactly. She by far is the strongest character in the MCU.
Yeah, I was going to say that because I was listening to Kevin Smith earlier today, and he was saying that, and I was like, I was going to ask you if that's comic accurate, because that's interesting for sure.
She is one of the strongest. Fun fact that a lot of people don't know: Rogue from the X-Men
Yeah.
The way she got her ability to fly and super strength and durability was by absorbing Miss Marvel, who is Captain Marvel's essence. She absorbed her and put her into a coma for 6 months and retained those flight, super strength, durability, and everything because she'd put Miss Marvel into a coma.
I see.
The classic power vacuum. I like that play.
But Miss Marvel as a character has had some of the highest and lowest moments. There's actually an issue where she is actually raped and impregnated by her own son, who traveled from the future to go back and impregnate his mother. And then the Avengers stood by and said, "It's okay, take our friend, have fun." And so the Avengers allowed rape to happen in the Marvel comics, and that's one of the worst issues, but it happens to involve Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel.
And I don't know how I feel about that. That's not a fun fact.
It is.
There is no fun in that fact.
All right,
I might have to censor that in editing, dude. That's I don't know if we can leave that in.
Hey,
I mean, we don't make money anyway, but I mean, I want to have the chance.
For real, right?
That's fun.
All right, well, let's talk about now I have another theory that I want to talk about, and you guys probably saw it for whatever my notes. If you think back to that instance where Corvus Glaive broke into the lab in Wakanda, right before that, Shuri was actually going through and trying to replicate and fix Vision, essentially.
Yeah, like detach him from the stone.
Yeah, like try to make it so he can survive without the stone.
Yeah.
And she rushes back over as the attack begins. She rushes back over, not to the desk where her actual gauntlets are at. She rushes back over and starts hitting the screen real quick. I'm thinking she's backing up Vision's personality in case something bad happens. She has a copy of him.
Yeah.
And then she reaches over and grabs her gauntlets and started handling stuff. But I mean, up until then, it looked like she was trying to back Vision up. I mean, do you think the second time we saw Vision die is really the end?
I mean, at this point, who the fuck knows? That's what sucks so much about this ending, is that scene with Scarlet. Fuck.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch.
What's her Scarlet Witch? I don't know why I couldn't remember her name. But with Scarlet Witch and Vision is so good. She's fending off Thanos, destroying Vision. Like, that scene is good. And then freaking Thanos just walks up and just turns the clock back, and it's just like, I have so many problems with that ending.
I know. Well, okay, what do you think about the way that Drax went out?
How does Drax go out? I can't remember.
Remember Drax? I think it's turned into spaghetti.
Oh
no, but he comes back from that though.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, but I'm just saying. But
what
do you think about the initial scene? Like, it was when it happened. I'm like, what the hell?
That caught me off guard for sure. I was not prepared for it.
I was not prepared for cube people. That was not what I expected in a big blockbuster movie.
Yeah, for real, right? Like, I looked over at my wife. I'm like, did that just freaking happen?
Yes.
Yo, but for real though, but for real though, Dave Bautista's like my favorite part of all of those movies, because Dave Bautista is one funny motherfucker, 100%.
He is, and I love him as Drax. I think he's hilarious. I think he does a great job. But as a comic fan, I'm kind of sad because Drax is like one of the baddest motherfuckers in Infinity Gauntlet, and he is way more of a badass in the comics than he is in here. Because in the comics, Drax is created, and he's like a created being that, and basically he's created to kill Thanos. That's his whole thing. So they played up with the daughter and the wife and all that, and made it a whole different kind of like spin on the character.
All right, guys, we're back. Quick little cut there. Some technical difficulties because nothing ever goes right the first time through. No plan succeeds in first contact with the enemy. That's The Martian. Favorite book. You should read it. See the movie too.
Great book.
Great book. We're gonna move on here. That's our Infinity War hot take. If you want to hear more about Infinity War, obviously you can check out our review, like I said earlier. So, next topic I want to bring up today. Some stuff going on in the gaming space, specifically around PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, former most popular game to ever be in existence. You know, at 1.3 million plus concurrent players on Steam. You know, Battlegrounds is huge. Started the revolution of Battle Royale, which is just taking over the gaming industry for good or ill. And this week, completely. And this week, a big story came out of that. So the PUBG developers announced on their blog that they're going to be currently disabling all forms of in-game or like between person item trading through Steam. So
Sorry. Go ahead.
Anyways, if you're not aware of what's going down right now, you haven't been involved with Steam games before at all. For a long time now, going all the way back to like Team Fortress 2 in early 2010 and Dota 2 leading into CSGO and now PUBG and a bunch of other games. For a long time now, there's been a big thing within the Steam community where they've taken in-game items and you would trade and sell them on the community market, or even take those items and sell them on third-party sites for real money. And these games had fully self-sufficient economies that, you know, ran and dictated themselves, kind of independent of the developers. Very interesting stuff. I've been involved in multiple instances of this, initially in Team Fortress 2. Then when CSGO blew up about 4 years ago, I was in there during the beginning of that item economy. And I've seen PUBG grow throughout the last year, like everybody, because PUBG's been absolutely everywhere. But the developers just came out and said that third-party sites using the Steam API to trade PUBG items is against their rules. And that for right now, they're disabling the trading until they can find a better solution. And this is a big deal because the trading community is big. And there's a lot of money in that community. I'm talking thousands and thousands of dollars. And PUBG just came out and said that using these third-party sites to turn those, you know, items into real money through PayPal and services like OP Skins is not allowed. This is a pretty big deal because there's been a lot of issues with these item economies over the years. It's led to a lot of abuse. I'm really curious to get you guys' take on what's going on there.
Yeah, I'll hop in here. I mean, one thing that's very important to say is that when you trade things on Steam, and let's say you have a dragon lore, okay, that's like one of the biggest skins in CS:GO, and you sell it on Steam to somebody else, which nobody would ever do. But if you did, you got X amount of dollars. Let's say you got like a ridiculous, say you got 10K on Steam. You cannot withdraw that 10K off Steam. Like, that is digital currency to only be used on Steam.
Yeah, buy games, buy other items, but it cannot be taken off-site.
So, but if you sell your Dragon Lore on OP Skins, Steam has no way to regulate that because you're trading it to a bot who's putting it on a website, taking cash from another person, and taking that skin and trading it to that person. So there's no way for Steam to regulate that kind of stuff other than stopping bots, which is like, okay, they're going to find a way around it. They'll just use regular people if they have to, whatever it takes. Okay, so if it goes off Steam, there's no way to regulate it. And if it's on Steam, there's no way to make any actual money.
Right. And so, like, the big deal is, and I understand these people's position, the people who are involved in the trading community, because they've now invested a large amount of money and tried to ferry these PUBG items off of the game and onto sites like OP Skins to make their money back. But the problem is that the worst part that's come out of these systems has had to have been the constant abuse of gambling through third-party sites, which is expressly not only illegal in many countries because they don't set age restrictions on the gambling, anybody can get in. They're also abusing the Steam licensing agreement for their API by creating these bots and these systems to deposit and withdraw items. And, you know, as much as I am somebody who, to be perfectly clear, I have profited off of these systems in the past. 100% I have through third-party sites. I'll be clear about that. There has been nothing but constant abuse and nothing but constant issue from these things. You know, like in CSGO, as far as like the esports go, match fixing, you know, people throwing matches, large amounts of money being stolen from people through hacking, you know, malicious attacks just for the sake of pixels in a stupid game. Okay. It's, you know, like, you gotta wonder at what point you just gotta say that this isn't worth it.
And I mean, once you get to the point where you're going to do point shaving and like basically throwing games, I mean, when are you different from someone like Pete Rose? Why can't you be prosecuted? I mean, at that point, I mean, essentially it's a pro sport regardless of how many people consider it professional.
No, it 100% is. And, you know, like, there have been so many bad things come out of this. I mean, like, North American Counter-Strike has been robbed one of its like best young prospects in the form of a player named Swag, because Swag was on a team that was caught up in one of the biggest early gambling scandals in CSGO's history because of match fixing. He wasn't even involved in the specific match fixing, and even though he's a great talent,
there's no way to prove that.
It was so far from all the evidence that we know about. He was not personally
There's absolutely
involved.
No way to know that. He took the skins. He took the money. There's no way to know that he is not involved in the throw.
Right. Okay, that's a
Could've
we can
been
go down
good.
that rabbit hole some other time.
Well,
But,
I
like,
mean, I'm just saying you cannot say that he was not 100% involved. There's
from
no way
from my understanding, I thought it was not. It was other players in the team who were involved in
no,
organizing the match.
from my understanding
I
is
could be
he participated but wasn't
Yeah.
100% agreed with it. But it's beside the point. The point is five
It's a toxic
players
environment.
5 players participated in a throw. 1 person wasn't banned, and all other 4 people were banned for life from the game. They cannot compete competitively in Valve sponsored events, who is the creator of the game.
Wow.
And they cannot play for life. Now, there's been a little bit of talk, it's been a couple years now, about bringing them back, and a couple of third-party developers and tournament throwers, tournament organizers have let them compete, but still they can't compete in the biggest tournaments every year because they're Valve-sponsored tournaments. And one of the best Counter-Strike players that we saw coming up was Braxton Swag Pierce, like Jack was saying, and we will never see him play in a legitimate competitive environment again because no org is going to take a chance on a player who can't play in the biggest tournaments.
Yeah, and it's all because of like this toxic influence from these third-party sites making just so much money. And like at the time, being a professional player in an esport, you didn't have a guarantee on making money.
No.
So like the influence was so strong, right? And it's because there was no regulation, no ability for Valve to regulate this because it was so many sites, so many people, so much money that had no oversight whatsoever. And I don't want to see it move to other games. I don't want to see it move to PUBG, even though I personally don't like that game. That toxic environment needs to be contained and handled. It shouldn't be able to move on.
How do you contain that then? I mean, what would you do?
You have to keep it on Steam.
You can't let it go off-site.
You have to keep it on Steam.
Everything on Steam.
It can't be third party.
Okay.
Because if I sell my CS:GO knife on the Steam community market, it's not like I made $100. I could just use that $100 in what is basically Steam credit to buy Steam games.
Or
more skins. Or more skins, but I can't do anything. I can't go, get food with that. That $100 is gone. Poof, buy.
Okay.
Right.
So you're saying like someone couldn't use like a PayPal because someone could send money, obviously pay with it for PayPal or.
Yeah, you can deposit money into Steam, but you cannot take money out of Steam.
You can never withdraw money from Steam, and you can't send money to another Steam account. You can buy stuff for somebody on another Steam account, but you can't. Money goes into Steam, never comes out of Steam.
Yeah, so what people do is they use the third-party sites, like OP Skins, which is a very prominent one, which has the ability to link to, you have a wallet on the site. Well, yes, you link to your Steam account, links to your inventory, and then it has a wallet. And you can withdraw from that wallet to your personal PayPal or whatever. So you can turn those, what are basically worthless items. The only value there is what people have put on it intrinsically.
Yes.
And you can turn it into real money from nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting because it's been very divisive in the community.
I mean, everyone like is listening to this. Just understand me, myself, Andrew. I'm more outside of this than they are. They have way more insight on this, so this is all like blowing me away, and I'm listening to it with you guys right here.
Yeah.
I think it is cool that PUBG is taking a firm stance. Like, they're not just half-assing it like Valve kind of is, going like, okay, well, another 7-day hold. Yeah. Okay, 7-day hold doesn't really hurt people that bad because I can still, 7 days later, I can still get my money if I want it.
Yeah.
Whereas PUBG is going, okay, wait, we're stopping this right now. Nobody can sell anything in Steam or out of Steam until we figure this shit out. And I kind of respect that a lot.
Oh, I respect the hell out of it. It's a ballsy play to make because anytime an item is sold on the community market or anytime someone opens a crate in-game, PUBG is making money that way. So they've effectively frozen a revenue stream for themselves to take the time to figure out a better solution because they understand from watching this play out for the last 5 years in CSGO that this just leads to bad shit. I mean, the case with T Martin and Syndicate made national news.
Yes.
It broke through to mass media.
Community.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, that's some good exposure.
Well, it's bad exposure for the game.
Negative exposure.
Well,
They were exposed for running a gambling site and promoting it without disclosing the fact that they were owners and they were rigging the outcomes of their videos and then promoting it to a very young, impressionable audience.
Okay. It was a huge scandal.
I do remember this. It was all over Fox News.
It was all over the place.
If you want to research it, H3H3 made a fantastic video on it. He was one of the groundbreakers on it. Love H3H3. Yeah, we'll put a link down to that. So I mean, that's that's what PUBG. It's in the news for once, and it's not something that I'm disappointed in. Because most of the time, man, I cannot stand hearing news about PUBG. So, Jess, you got some stuff to talk about?
Now?
Exactly.
Yeah, I do have some stuff to talk about. I actually read something very interesting on Twitter the other day, and I thought I would share it because, Black Widow is one of my favorite characters in the MCU, and I really want to see her movie because, I mean, Scarlett Johansson's been putting in the time. Okay, she's been in a lot of these Marvel movies, and she still doesn't have a standalone.
Doing hard time on the rock, 100%.
And there's so many good Black Widow books. There's like 3 great Black Widow books out there. Forever Red being my favorite, and I would love to see Forever Red.
Fantastic.
Okay, so I read this on Twitter. It says 65 directors are being considered for Marvel's Black Widow.
How?
65 female directors have been looked at for Black Widow. How do you guys feel about them being so thorough trying to figure out what director? You think there'd be a clear choice by now? Like, I thought there's got to be somebody.
I misunderstood when you told me about this prior to filming. I thought you meant that they had gone through, like they had already recycled through 65 people.
There's not even a script.
Okay. Do you know some of the prominent names? Like, what are some of the big names being mentioned?
Yeah, I got them right here. We got Alma Asante, Chloe Zhao, and Jack Schaefer.
Is that a woman?
Jack Schaefer has been nodded to write the script.
Is that okay? I thought it was supposed to be female directors. Okay,
he's a man. He's the writer.
Okay. Well, okay.
But how do you feel about like normally they pick a director right away and it's his movie. They're writing the script and they're looking at 65 different people for the movie. Like that's ridiculous. Like,
that's 100% ridiculous.
You know what I mean? That's just absolutely ridiculous.
I think the way I look at it, and from understanding what I know about Scarlett Johansson through seeing her through various interviews over the years, she seems like a very dedicated and driven person. And I think that given the opportunity to make a standalone movie for Black Widow, she would 100% take the time to be as thorough about it as possible. Because, let's be real about the bigger, I don't want to go too political about it, but it's kind of a big deal for a female lead blockbuster Marvel movie, right? So I could see Scarlett Johansson.
Well, she's really not even going to be the first one.
She won't be the first.
Captain Marvel is going to be the first one.
Right, but I mean, they're still both very important movies for that kind of landscape, right? So I could see Scarlett Johansson being very concerned about making sure that the absolute best people possible are on that movie. And that just makes me excited because that makes me think there's going to be so much good, quality control behind the film.
And I mean, that's very possible. I really hope that they choose the right person. Obviously, I mean, personally, if I can dream cast this, I'd go Joss Whedon all the way. He knows how to make a strong female character stand out above everyone.
Love me some Joss Whedon.
That's just me. I mean, I love Buffy. I mean, I grew up on Buffy, Firefly. I mean, that was my kind of stuff. I was super into all that, and he's one person I would love to see get his hands on a character like Black Widow, because with the future of the MCU and the chance that Cap might be dying and going away, which is probably going to happen because Evans is over it.
Yeah.
Sebastian Stan as the Winter Soldier in the comics eventually takes over as Cap for a while.
Right. I'm aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so does Falcon, but in this instance with Black Widow and Winter Soldier get very intimate, and they become a big thing in the comics. And I think that Cap's death would lead them to get closer together, and then he could even almost be a co-star, kind of like the Hulk was for Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah,
I'd be
have him as a side character, because they could still work on stuff together, or try to find anyone left from that Russian program that programmed Bucky, someone they need answers, something. I mean, she's
the Red Room,
anything. Yeah.
My only problem with that is that I think that they've already, at least in the MCU's version, I'm not sure how this plays out in the comics, but the relationship between Black Widow and Bruce Banner has already been pushed pretty heavily in Captain America: Civil War and the Avenger movies. So I would almost want to see that one moved a little further, because I like Bruce Banner in this iteration.
I have more or less zero interest in Black Widow and Bruce Banner as a love connection, to be completely honest. I always thought it was going to be her and Hawkeye because they have so much more chemistry on screen.
Right.
Yeah.
So it caught me off guard when that happened. But to jump back real quick to what you said about Joss Whedon, I love Joss Whedon. I'd love to have him direct this movie, but the internet would go insane if they gave him this Black Widow movie because of all of that Me Too stuff that happened with him and him cheating on his longtime wife and the fact that he was like a self-proclaimed feminist. And to not too much about the political stuff, but the internet would lose its mind if they gave somebody who was like a negative influencer of the Me Too movement a woman.
Which sucks because goddamn if Sweden doesn't make good fucking movies, you know?
Bro, I mean, he's proven himself that he can write great female characters. I mean, Buffy's incredible.
Not to mention, he's got a great Twitter account. A lot of good banter there.
And then, like, what about, what's such a shame is that, like, people who direct for DC hardly ever come and direct for Marvel, with the exception of Joss Whedon going the other way around, going from Marvel to DC. But I'd love to have Patty Jenkins come through and do this movie.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Pretty good.
Wonder Woman was really good.
Wonder Woman was great.
Yeah, I agree. Wonder Woman was phenomenal, and Patty Jenkins killed it. She would be a great woman to take this role. But there's so many other directors out there. Yeah. Like, okay, I mean, it's not your first choice, but I mean, I would love Steven Spielberg to take a crack at Black Widow.
Bro, same like Tarantino. Tarantino,
dude. Can we just put? You know what? If you put Tarantino on trying to put Infinity War 1 and 2 together, imagine what this movie would have been like. Kind of jumping back to Infinity War for a second.
Wait, I hate to throw us off track right now.
Okay,
because
I mean,
we're
I
talking about a great character. But have you guys heard that Tarantino is like humping for X-Men? He wants to do the reboot.
Oh, I would be so
have you heard
there
about this?
No, but I'm there.
Imagine Tarantino directing Dark Phoenix.
Oh my god, it'd be incredible. And let him recast. I know that Fox has like a huge hard-on for that cast that they have with god damn it, I'll never remember her name now. The girl from Game of Thrones.
Sophie Turner.
Sophie Turner. They have a huge hard-on for Sophie Turner, and that's fine, but I would love for him to recast it and do it his own thing.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
That would be amazing.
You love him or hate him, you can't deny that Tarantino has to be one of the most talented people to ever step behind a camera and lead a film, right? You put him on anything, and I'm at least going to watch it.
Dude,
like, that's just how good he is.
Tarantino directed the next fucking My Little Pony movie.
Oh, I'd be there.
Live action starring Ernest. I don't care. I don't give a crap who it's starring.
That's going to be a graphic-ass kids movie, that's for sure.
And it could be like rated XXX hardcore status. If Tarantino directed it, I'm going to give it the time of day.
Yeah, dude.
Well, the good news is that directors of his caliber are coming to comic book movies, and it's going to be so interesting to see. And this could be something we talk about here as well, as it'll be so interesting to see legendary directors come into the comic book universe and direct movies under their like style. Like, what kind of legendary director would you like to see direct a like Marvel movie?
I want to see a super serious superhero movie, like something almost like Kubrick-esque. I would love to see someone go like super real, like super almost like Logan-esque. Like take that, like I think Logan was so groundbreaking in that sense because it got so raw and so real on like an emotional level.
Mangold's like a straight 50-50 director. Like you get a trash movie and a great movie with him. So it's like it's not like, you know, going into Logan, I was a little questionable because Mangold was directing it, but I mean, it came out amazing.
But like that tone is what I want to see. I want to, you know, because at the end of the day, regardless of all the fantastic things that these people do in these superhero movies, oftentimes we lose because movies are so short compared to like comic books and how long comic issues run. We lose the humanity. I want to see the human side of some of these characters more. And that's what I hope that we're starting to move towards, because I think now we're getting past the stigma of these comic book movies not being serious films. Like we're starting to take them seriously as films.
Yeah, people thought, oh, they're gonna get old real quick. Yeah, we're 10 years deep, and this movie just broke every record in Hollywood. Like,
in the world
right now. Come on, you're tripping.
Yeah,
like it ain't going nowhere.
You know, I'd love to see. You know, I'd love to see Alfonso Cuarón take a crack at one of these Marvel movies. I mean, he did Prisoner of Azkaban, Gravity, Children of Men. I'd love to see him take a crack at one of these Marvel movies.
Okay, I got one for you. Okay, how about a character, someone like off key, like have you guys seen the Legion TV show?
No.
No,
Okay,
I'm aware
so
of it.
it's about Charles Xavier's son, and basically he's like one of the most powerful mutants ever, and he can create. He's got multiple personality disorder. He's got DID. And so every time he creates a new personality in his brain, it also has a new power attached to it. So you can access them all like crazy, going nuts the whole episode, talking to himself and all the different reflections, seeing other personalities come to life. It's just crazy. I would love to see someone like M. Night Shyamalan take a crack.
Oh, same. No, seriously, same. He's on the upcoming back right now. I mean, he's on the comeback trail. This would be a great time to throw a comic book movie at him.
Hell yeah. Give him,
dude.
Or
Hell
Moon Knight.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
No, you could give him something like Moon Knight, a character that's like based out of like ancient Egypt, but is still like on that psychotic breaking kind of level. Like he honestly, the character of Moon Knight almost reminds me of like Remus from Harry Potter, like the actual character himself. Yeah, Lupin. So I mean, the character himself just reminds me personality wise of him so much in so many ways. Like just from the books and stuff. Oh my god.
What about Abrams? What about JJ coming over and doing that?
I mean, dude, after he did Star Wars, I mean, I'm down to see Abrams.
Well, I love the Trek movies. I mean,
oh yeah,
2009 Star Trek's incredible.
Oh, it's absolutely. I think Abrams has shown himself time and time again to just make, if nothing else, solid movies.
But if Abrams came over, it'd have to be on like a heavy hitter movie.
It'd have to be a big one because otherwise he wouldn't even come. You know,
like if there's no opportunity for lens flare, he's not there.
If you can't have at least one lens flare every 22 minutes, then I'm not doing
Dude,
shit.
more like every 22 frames.
JJ Abrams and his lens flare. Hashtag lens flares.
Lens flares, where it's at. So, I mean, I just think that a lot of people were saying that, you know, movies aren't getting better and that we're kind of dumbing down movies. And when I hear that, I'm just like, you know, what movies have you guys been watching in the last 5 years? Because I think we're only seeing the quality go up. And, you know, part of that is the technology, right? Like, you know, you look at a movie like Ready Player One, and like that movie is just visually stunning. But even though I didn't like the book, they still managed to deliver in terms of writing and interaction and the actual like shot for shot movie, something that I enjoyed.
Pause. You didn't like the book?
I did not like the book.
I haven't read it myself.
Okay. Well,
I haven't seen the movie either, so
I
like
like the book. I actually like the book better than the movie.
I think that's most people's.
I like
opinion.
the movie. The movie's not bad, but I mean, it's a great movie still. But I actually like the book myself.
Okay, so to be fair, I read the book once. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, I was kind of in a shitty mood when I started reading it. And if I'm in a shitty mood, I can't really put my mind into liking a book entirely. So I just kind of have like this jaded memory of not really liking the book. And, you know, I was on vacation when I saw it. I was hanging out with the homies and, you know, enjoying my time away from everything. And the movie surprised me with being a lot better than I ever expected to give it credit for.
Yeah, based on the story you knew and what
I remembered. So I think it's just like it's emblematic of the fact that, you know, we're not like dumbing down movies' substance because we have better visuals. I think they're growing side by side. And the more we give these younger directors and even some of these old school legends the opportunity to play with all this new stuff, we're only going to get more groundbreaking movies. We're only going to get more, you know, No Country for Old Men caliber films that are just going to be like set in cinema history. I think we're almost entering into like a new golden age of film, I would say.
Okay, I mean, and I know where a lot of people are coming from when they say like that movies are being dumbed down. It's because they see Hollywood doing the same crap and just rebooting a lot of stuff.
Which is horrible, to be fair.
It is. I mean, why mess with something that worked? And then when you fail, you're just like, oh, we failed. At least we almost broke even. I mean, shit. I mean, I mean, I don't know how you keep throwing money away like that. It's ridiculous.
Well, when they're throwing the money back at you.
I have one more Dreamcast real quick before we get off this topic. I really want to see, and every nerd wants to see this, I want to see the Kevin Smith Batfleck movie. I really want to see it.
I do.
I want to see Batfleck Kevin Smith. I mean, he's already proved himself on directing a bunch of Flash episodes and Supergirl episodes. I mean, come on, he'd kill that.
It's
Kevin
not your fault.
Smith is one of my favorite directors. Period. I mean, he always has been. His form of storytelling has always just been something I've related to.
Yeah, and he's got like a great style, you know.
Yeah, it might not be the flashiest or whatever, but like you said, like the episodes of the Flash, Supergirl stuff he's done recently. His movie Yoga Hosers. I mean, as goofy and crazy as it was still like Kevin Smith. You could feel it off the movie. I mean, just his style, the type of camera panning, the type of looks, and like way he likes to lay scenes out. He just does everything really clean and really smoothly. And I've always just been a big fan of his.
I mean, he's got a podcast called Fat Man on Batman. Like you got to give him a Batman movie.
Hell yeah! And did you guys know that he even wrote for DC Comics for a little while?
No way.
Oh no way!
Yeah, he got the chance to write a 60 spin-off story for Batman, and
that's so rad.
It was so dope. It was actually really good, and his 60 spin-off was very in your face, like just freaking Burt Ward. Pound, bam! It was so much fun to read. And just knowing that he did it, and it was his weird sense of humor mixed in with this 60s over the top in your face poppiness. It was awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on here, and this is another. I want to talk about this. Andrew, from my understanding, you've played the new God of War, yeah?
I have.
Have you finished it?
Not.
No, I have not.
Okay.
I just haven't had time to finish it, but from what I've gotten into it so far, it's really, really good, guys.
Not gonna lie, and to be fair, I've not played the game myself. But there has not been a game in a long time that has made me more than ever want to go out and buy a PS4 just to play one game. Because, like, just watching this game from a passive, just like watching a Let's Play. And, a lot of people are probably going to go after me for, like, how can you say that you understand the game having not played it yourself? But, my counter to that is that oftentimes Let's Plays, I think, are underappreciated for the fact that you're allowed to experience the game as much as possible without having your hands physically on the controller. Going on the ride of just watching the game happen from a narrative perspective, wow. This is a fucking incredible game. I can say that without even having played it.
And just so everyone knows, if you haven't played it, I mean, there's a little bit of spoiler. It's not anything huge, but the game itself is not based around the regular like Greek gods anymore. This one is based around the Norse gods.
Oh yeah, and then like this is one of those cases of trying to reboot a franchise and changing all of the right things, because the older God of War games are just in a style that just doesn't work nowadays. That side scroller, like fighting game, combos, hordes of enemies, and all of that. That's kind of in the past. We don't see games like that really anymore. And there's been like 5 main God of War games that have done that style, right? Mm-hmm. So we hit the point where we got burnout around the time of Ascension, and then the game just kind of disappeared for 4 years. And
I mean, the one thing I do like about this God of War game is it gives me a feel of it was a recent adventure game,
The Last of Us.
Well, no, it was actually more recent. Yeah, it was more recent. I actually did a review. I don't know why I can't think of it. Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn. Yep, I heard that one brought up a few times.
That game was a lot of fun. It was basically an open world. You're using like a bow and arrow kind of thing against all these like,
dinosaurs,
robot horses, like all these different animals that have like shock ability. It's crazy, but this God of War game plays very similar to that. Like very, very clean, very like just a gorgeous landscape that you really can't believe how beautiful it looks. It's
my God,
awesome.
Even like watching a recording on YouTube, and keep in mind, if you're not aware, YouTube destroys the quality of a video by the time you upload it. That's a known fact.
Oh yeah.
That is a breathtaking game. Like the atmosphere of it is so dope. I was watching a couple like developer diaries about the game, and like the way that they chose to go about this story and the way they tried to build the world and the representation and like the music and the voice actors. I mean, just like it almost felt like watching a movie. At least
It
that was
does.
the perspective I got. Like that game.
The cinematic scenes in there too are very movie-esque. They're very cinematically just beautiful, and like they really are well done.
And the cool thing that's brought up out of all this is the discussion of, for a long time, for the last couple of years, people have been saying that you can't make a AAA single player only game and have it succeed. That we're kind of beyond that. We're in the era of multiplayer, and you need a multiplayer to sell your games. Like that's been the narrative people are trying to push.
Well, there's no replay value.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
to be fair, yeah.
Like you play through the campaign once, maybe you play through it again on a different difficulty, but most of the time you're gonna play through the campaign once,
be done
with the game, or do like side missions and stuff like that. And side missions don't have replay value either.
Well, I mean, that's why like something like Horizon Zero Dawn had that same thing for me. I played it for a while and I got like just over it. I mean, it was fun to play, but it got boring because it's the same stuff. But then they brought out expansion. They brought an expansion that was cool. Then it changed up and gave me some new stuff, a whole new area I can explore.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And that's where that DLC expansion layer that you get from all these games come from.
Yes.
But the thing I like is that this shows how impactful you can make a story, and you can sell a game based off of its story, right?
Oh, for sure. But it's not going to have a player base in a couple months, and that's fine.
It's going to get its initial sales, get its money, and then it's kind of just a little by the wayside a little bit.
But I really hope that this shows studios that you can do this type of thing, because there are a lot of talented people who get shoehorned into having to work on multiplayer projects, which isn't a problem because I love multiplayer games. It's what I play all the time. But I want to see more stories like this. Like, last year, one of the standout game of the years was Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which was from an indie studio of like 30 people who tried to make a AAA quality game by themselves and delivered one of the most impactful and important stories that we've seen in gaming almost period. And, those type of things, like, we can't lose our hold on that because games as a medium deliver storytelling in such a way that outclasses all other competition in terms of putting you in the position of the character and really putting you into that place. That kind of immersion is only achievable through the medium of gaming. So, like, having these stories, I think, is still so important.
Yeah, I mean, it totally is. And me personally, like, I love FPSs. I really do. I'm a big first-person shooter fan, but I've always been in. Yeah, me too. I mean, and they're great. One of my favorite FPSs of all time, honestly, is Titanfall 2. Like, I love that.
Love Titanfall 2.
Dude, great story, it's so much fun.
Oh, great campaign.
Oh yeah, but like that, I love those type of games. But me personally, I've always been really into adventure games. My favorite game franchise of all time is the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Love Assassin's Creed. Black Flag.
I've played every game. I love the just the fan base. I love the community of fans about the characters. I love where they're taking it. Like, our next stop, obviously, we had ancient Egypt. Now we're going to actually go to ancient Greece. Yeah. So it's going to be really cool. And I always love the new like different abilities they give you in each game and how they improve the game. And the last one was the best so far, by far. They really did expand it. And that's why I've always been into adventure games. Like, the Assassin's Creed franchise has been the backbone of my gaming, like, history for like the last 10 years. I've always been playing them. And they're great. I mean, it's just fun, immersive storytelling. And when you can do that with a story, then you can do that across the board, and you can make a franchise out of it. It doesn't have to have a huge multiplayer. I mean, obviously the newer ones do have a multiplayer option, but that's not what I'm saying.
Can we talk about playthroughs for a quick second?
Yeah. Oh, wait, I got like one more point real quick.
Okay,
and then, yes, because my biggest thing about this is that game, like, single player games, have a unique ability to, like, stick with us and leave an impression with the player, right? Like, I would guarantee everybody listening, all of us probably have a game that we have played at some point that sticks with us, something that we remember, some kind of, like, just like the way it impacted us when we first played it.
I can tell you the code from the Nintendo 64 Aladdin game to get to the final level. I remember that shit so well.
Right? It's just I just would hate to see, because it's not the most profitable route for studios to drift away from something that could be like so important to people, like
Oh,
telling
yeah.
these stories.
Well, you
Right.
take away the story, you take away the main source of the game itself. I mean,
The
yeah, you
substance.
could bring, yeah, for real, because you can. I mean, think about it. You bring out the baddest FPS game ever. Cool, give it a great online like just feel and whole layout and have everything run so smooth, but then you have no story. So what happens when you're kind of bored about just playing online over and over, or if you're not a really good competitive player and you get over it real quick, don't you want to go play a story? No, well shit, you don't have a fucking option. You're playing online, that's it.
Yeah. All right. So what do you got about playthroughs? Just lay it on us.
Okay. You said something that resonated with me earlier. You were talking about watching somebody play through God of War, even though you haven't played through it. You feel like you can still talk about God of War.
Okay.
I couldn't agree more. I think that playthroughs are one of the best things that's happened to story-driven games, even though they hurt sales, because if I watch a playthrough, I'm less likely to buy the game. That's actually a fact. You know, they hurt game sales, but it is one of the best experiences to experience a game from a passive like extent.
Well,
Let's talk about
waste your money.
Well, let's talk about Last of Us for a second.
Okay.
Watching a Last of Us playthrough, I've watched Last of Us playthroughs on 4 or 5 different channels, the full fucking playthrough, because I love to experience it. It's kind of like reaction videos a little bit. I like to experience the game from somebody else's perspective without having to actually physically play the game. I don't want to physically have to be active in my brain, participating, moving my character around. It's like more of a cinematic experience where I get to watch somebody play the game and their experience and the way they move the character. It's like a different experience every time I watch somebody else's playthrough.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really like walkthroughs. I don't know why people say that, like, okay, I've never played The Last of Us, but I know every inch of that game. I know every story plot point of that game. I can speak about Last of Us if I want to or not, whether I played.
You know, there's a gun in that bush right there, bro.
Right,
Go
yeah.
get it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and,
So
and
it's
like there, for the longest time, people have hated on playthroughs. People hate on people who make playthroughs, like saying that's like, oh, it's just easy content. You're just sitting there playing the game, then you bump out a 30-minute video. But you know, I call bullshit on that, first of all, because if you think it's so easy to make content every day on YouTube, fucking go do it for a week and then come talk to me. You know, like, first off, fuck off with that.
Exactly.
Secondly, what they are doing is one for people who are skeptical about the game. Maybe they want to watch one episode and decide they want to buy the game or not. Or two, maybe you can't afford the game, but you've been looking forward to this. You want to experience it somehow. That's still an important thing to have for people. And just like to decry playthroughs in any way, I think is stupid, because at its form, it's one of the longest running forms of content on YouTube, and has been so important to so many people.
Oh, there's channels out there that couldn't survive if they didn't have playthroughs, if they didn't have story playthroughs. I mean, that's just part of YouTube. I mean, you come on YouTube, you're expecting to see some kind of gameplay of some kind, somewhere on the platform. I mean, it happens.
I just think walkthroughs are awesome, and I don't know why people hate on them so much.
I love doing them. I mean, me personally, when I'm sitting there talking and I'm going through this game and I'm like, holy crap, like where the hell do I go? Or if I'm like confused about a spot or don't remember where I need to go. I love being able to talk to the people in the chat, just be like, hey, oh yeah, just jump in this or go this way. I love when they help out, when they want to talk about it, or, oh, what do you think about how pretty this looks? And I love getting interaction from the fans, especially when you're doing a playthrough.
Yeah,
on a story game.
Live stream playthroughs are like the purest form, because people like Rad Brad do playthroughs, but it's very cut up and it's very like going from one spot to another spot is cut out completely unless there's something that happens. Whereas like in a live stream version of, like, I watched Tyler One play Until Dawn on live stream, and that was a great experience because you get to kind of feel it as he's doing it. You get to see him struggle with it. You get to see him think about what he should do next. I kind of like that experience even more than the cut up experience.
Oh, I definitely do too, especially for stories. For story games. I mean, even if you're running through a big ass open area and I got to watch your ass run through it, I mean, at least then you check out of the game and you go and you check out the person, like the host. You talk to them, you see what they're doing, you try to chat. Then when the game gets good and intense again, boom, you back into the game. Fuck it, I'm just like watching again.
Actually, I do got one story about walkthroughs real quick before we move on. You know, when I first joined the channel, you could definitely tell the difference if you watch some of my earliest videos before I transitioned into what I'm doing now. I initially started out very heavily scripted and very focused on like making my thoughts as concise as possible. And looking back on some of my older videos, I feel like kind of some of my personality is lost because I'm so focused on them being perfect, right? But then I started to try to do the Let's Plays. Obviously I now have 2 Let's Plays in the grave because of my idiocy.
Damn Nuzlocke.
Yeah, damn fucking... I don't even want to talk about it. And then, I Nuzlocked myself by wiping my own hard drive. Well, I have a video coming out about that, by the way. I'm going to explain that in another video. I'm an Idiot is a summary of that if you don't want to watch. But doing Let's Plays was a very interesting way for me to find an organic way to talk into the microphone without a script and still be able to get my thoughts over very concisely and, have a good flow and kind of find my comfort with recording. Because for a long time, it was kind of hard for me to record by myself. I needed, music going in the background, or I needed to talk to somebody. My first 10 videos I ever did on my personal channel, I did with Jesse, because I hated the thought of having to do solo commentary and not being able to, pause my thoughts or not have somebody to bounce off of with. But because of Let's Plays, I've kind of found a spot where I'm getting more comfortable with it, and now I just don't even really script my videos at all. I take some notes, but that's it.
Yeah, notes. I mean, mine started off as fully scripted everything originally for my kind of stuff, but I love the reason I liked Let's Play so much and just the walkthrough games is because you can actually just sit there and really talk to people, and
it's organic.
Yeah, you never know what's gonna happen. Someone could walk in and be like, "I fucking hate you," and you'd be like, "Well, fuck you too." Okay, whatever. But I mean, you never know. I've seen some crazy stuff happen on some live streams, by the way, and it was messed up.
Yeah, shit goes down every now and then.
It does, and I want to stage something crazy.
Yo, you're not supposed to say that, dog. You're ruining my plans.
You can't. No staging.
Cut.
Stunt double, leave.
But yeah, the end of that discussion is just Let's Plays are cool, and if you hate on them, I don't know what to say. You're missing out. Straight up, man. Straight up. So
don't watch them if you don't like them. Quick complaint.
Yeah, just don't bitch about it. Nobody needs your bitching. I got
anything else?
Yeah, I do got one topic I do want to jump into.
Is this the wrap-up topic, or where are we at?
Maybe. Kind of just depends. I don't know. Do you have anything else to talk about, Andrew? Anything you want to talk about after this?
Not really. I mean, I wrote about comics, but I don't really need to talk about them. There's nothing huge right now.
Okay. So we'll talk about this, and we'll wrap it up. So Paladins. I've talked about Paladins ad nauseum on the channel before. One of my favorite games of last year. I still love it. Multiple videos. I still love it. I still plan on producing content around it. I'm just lazy, so bear with me. But Paladins announced this week that it's finally going to be leaving beta. It's entering into full release next week on the 8th. And obviously, that's a big deal. The game's been in beta for 2 years. It's progressed a lot since then.
Too long of a beta.
Okay, well, let me finish first, brother.
Can you even consider that a beta anymore? Come on.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, to be sure, but my thing with Paladins is that lately I kind of feel very divided on how I feel about the game, because what I'm seeing is there's almost 2 sides to the development of this game. There's the people who want to make money, then there's the people who want to make an amazing game. And the gameplay is still amazing, and it still grows, and it still gets better. But then I had a video I scrapped about this, but there was an event in Paladins a month ago called Ascension Peak, where they previewed a new character and a new map. And there was a limited time mode and quests and skins and the full night. It was the first major event Paladins has ever done, right? And what disappointed me so much about this was that they released this gimmicky limited time mode that was just a variant of a mode that already existed that just limited your ability to choose champions. You couldn't. You just got a random champion out of a pool of 5.
And
it was just, oh god, the game mode was bad. But the worst part is that was just during the event. Wow. It was just during the event. But the worst part was that they had this big page of quest lines where you could get these special limited time emotes. And to be fair, these emotes were cringy as hell. They added a dab. They weren't really as surface level as possible. So I'm already mad about that, because why do we need a dab in Paladins? Enough dabbing. We're done dabbing, okay?
The dab is dead.
And no one's gonna teabag anymore. They're gonna dab on you.
Oh yeah, that happened in Destiny.
You dab.
And it was a persistent dab. It was a dab that never ended. He dabbed into infinity. He never stopped. You can't make this shit up. But then the worst part is that on the screen with the quest lines, they don't make it abundantly clear that the only way to finish the quest lines after several hours of gameplay is to purchase $15 worth of skins to get unlock tokens. So it was essentially a cash grab. That was it. It was a limited time event with a shitty game mode, and the only rewards for doing the grind for the quests were bad emotes, and the only way to get the emotes was to pay money.
Oh my
what the fuck?
Cash grab or what?
Cash grab, 100%.
Yeah.
Paladins,
I mean, it's free to play game, so.
And that's why I'm so torn on it, because on one hand, I respect the fact that they have to make money, because they don't charge anything for a game that I think is at a caliber well above something like Overwatch, at least in my opinion.
It's definitely not pay to win either.
It's definitely not pay to win at all. Everything's cosmetic. But
I think it's beautiful too.
It's a beautiful game.
It's a great
looking. To hype up the first event like this, to make it seem like it was going to be this big thing with quest lines and this cool limited time mode, and then to not deliver on the mode, and then not make it very abundantly clear that the only way to access the quest lines to complete them was to pay in to skins. That even if you didn't want the skins but you wanted the emotes, you still had to buy the skins to get the opportunity to get the emotes.
That's ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
Blatant cash grab, that is.
And Paladins has had a trend of doing these kinds of weird cash grabby things. Obviously, when the infamous Cards Unbound update was released, I made a video about this, where they tried to make it, pay to win in a lot of ways by changing the card system and changing the loot boxes to benefit the card system. And they had to walk back that update. And I thought for sure they'd be a lot more careful about their monetization going forward after what a big PR disaster that game was. But, if I'm a dedicated player to the game, which I am, I would look at Siege of Ascension Peak as a slap in the face. Honestly.
Well, let's talk about the reason why they have to go for these blatant cash grabs. Okay. The main reason is their player base is pretty solid. So the fact that they're free to play and not pay to win, and their aesthetics are not that great, that means there's only one way for them to get money, and that's to do blatant cash grabs, because nobody's buying these loot boxes because the aesthetics are not that great, and you really can earn enough in-game currency to get what you want.
I'm gonna go against you there on that, because I think that and most of the community feels this way from browsing Reddit as much as I do for the Paladin subreddit, keeping on patches and stuff. A lot of people really like the skins, and it's rare to go into a game without seeing somebody who has one of the $10, $20 skins. So they do make a lot of revenue off the loot boxes and off the skin selling, and with a player base that averages around 30,000 still,
that's a solid player base.
It's a solid player base. I can't imagine them not making money, and I understand that the goal is to. I think it's just Overwatch has dominated the market dying
as well.
I think the trends with Battle Royale especially have killed a lot of games.
Yeah,
even Counter-Strike
taking over the world.
Counter-Strike is at its lowest.
Everything.
Yeah, Counter-Strike's player base is at the lowest it's been in 4 years. I mean, that lowest is still 200,000 concurrent players, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But
when did Counter-Strike come out?
2012.
I mean, so it's been out for a few years. When Paladins? What, a year later?
2016.
Paladins.
No. Shit, never mind. It's only a couple of years old.
Yeah, Paladin's still relatively new.
Well, technically, it just got released.
Okay. Well, it's releasing on the 8th.
Well, yeah, but
which is ridiculous.
We've all played the beta.
Well, I think if the game had released any sooner, it needed, with how fast they were developing, which was not very fast.
It got so much great buzz. I mean, you could call it negative buzz because it was all about how it's an Overwatch clone. The game was at its peak when that was buzzing around, because that was peak player base time. That was the perfect time to release the game, and the game was incredibly fun to play.
The game still needed a lot of work, though, and the game is only, in terms of its raw gameplay, has only gotten better.
If they're going to do all this cash grab shit, they should have been cash grabbing when they had all the buzz and released it.
Yeah.
They should have got that money when they could have got that money.
But my bottom line is, I think that this is a game that has an endless amount of potential. Their Paladins Premier League with all of these major esports organizations like SK and Virtus Pro and all that. They're having their final in Las Vegas right now, and competitive Paladins is incredibly fun to watch, and their esports scene is vibrant. If it may be small, but it's vibrant and filled with some very talented people. And so you have a good esports scene, an endemic esports scene that you guys are involved with personally as the developers. You have a dedicated player base that loves to play the game religiously and will defend it ad nauseum. I hope to see them make the right moves going forward past launch to maintain that loyalty, because they somehow managed to make it through the dark times of Cards Unbound when it was very questionable whether the dedicated players, people like me, would stick around or not. And during that time, I didn't play the game because I didn't want to support what they were doing.
Okay, so I got a question for you on that, though.
Okay, go ahead.
So with Paladins officially going to launch, what are they going to do differently if they're already a free-to-play that already has a good following? I mean, are they going to change anything up? Are they going to release it? I mean, are they going to advertise more? I mean, what really can they do for this
one thing that they did add recently was they're kind of taking on the concept of the season pass. Fortnite has its own, or not Fortnite, what? You guys made me think of Fortnite now. It's taking over my mind, dude. They're in my brain. Epic Games is everywhere. It's a conspiracy. I need to go get some tinfoil. Paladins is taking on a season pass system, and you can invest like $10 at the beginning of the season, get access to a bunch of skins, bunch of rewards, emotes, the full nine. And I like the season pass model because with games like Fortnite and like Paladins, it allows them to keep content, non-DLC content. It allows them to keep the game free because they're getting their revenue through the season pass and through individual skin sales. So it looks like the season pass is going to be their format going forward.
Okay. I mean, but so it's no longer really a free-to-play.
Well, no, because you don't need to buy the season pass to play the game or get any of the champions. The season pass is all for cosmetic items.
Oh, it's just cosmetic stuff. So I'm like, okay.
It's like you grind.
I included something better than just skins.
No. It's just like how Fortnite's battle pass works. You grind for levels, and once you hit a certain level, you get that reward.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. Like Fortnite's fun to watch, but it is. I do not have fun playing it. Me personally, I'm not into it as much.
I feel a little cornered here because I'm not gonna lie. In my downtime, I play a lot of Fortnite.
I hate Fortnite personally, but that's just a personal thing.
Yeah, okay.
I can
because I don't like BR that much, so it's like
I can fully understand why people don't like Fortnite because I think you have to be you have to like. There are specific things about it that's either going to be you love it or you hate it. And for me, maybe it's just because I primarily play like super hardcore competitive games like all the time. And like I played Counter-Strike like nonstop for 4 years straight before I decided to play other games. I kind of like having a game that's fairly casual. You just hop on with the bros and you play a couple matches, what happens, and you just try and have a good time. And maybe that's why Fortnite appeals to me, because I don't really take it super seriously.
Every time I get on to play Fortnite, I feel like I find the only like Judas 12-year-old child that decides he's going to talk shit all day long. And yes. I threaten his mother a few times. And I can't help it when they start like getting like cutting me deep. I mean, I get crazy.
What'd you say about my mother? Talk shit, get hit, kid.
Son, I know where you live. He's all, no, you don't. I'm all, dude, I'm gonna go knock at your door right now. Bitch, you were waiting, weren't you? Come on. I was to this kid today. It was funny. I'll play.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. I just want to see Paladins do well because it kind of came at a time where I was in between a lot of games, and like I have such a fond love of Team Fortress 2 as a game, and Overwatch was just like, in the end, a disappointment for me. So, like, I think Paladins is kind of in an important spot in its genre, and I don't want to see them throw that away.
I like Paladins. I generally have fun playing it. It is
I love it.
A very immersive game. It's a lot of fun to play. You can back-to-back play it over and over and over and not get tired of it. It's cool.
I definitely do like it because most of the people are worse than me, and I love pub stomping. It's one of my favorite things to do. It really helps with my ego.
That's why I still play Titanfall 2 all the time.
Exactly.
Titanfall 2
I just go in there and I MVP that crap, and then I move on.
Pretty much the takeaway here is that if I can't curb stomp in a video game, I'm going to give it 0 out of 10 when I review it.
0 out of 10. -10.
Yeah. People were better than me. -10.
-10.
Right. I don't got anything else to talk about. Do you guys got anything, or are we going to wrap this up?
Let's wrap this bad boy up, dude.
All right. So, This has been the very first episode of Nerd Meltdown. If you guys want to see more of this podcast, and you want to see us evolve this format at all, let us know what you think in the comments down below. We had intended for this to be with like face cams, and we're toying with the idea of live streaming this. If you want to see Nerd Meltdown live, let us know. We'll make it happen. If you want to see anything happen to the format, or you want to suggest topics for next week, because we want to make this a weekly show, you can expect it every week. We're going to try it. Leave us some topics down there in the comments as well. You can find all of our social medias in the description. Any videos we reference will also be down there. Other than that, my name is Jack. That's Jesse. That's Andrew. This has been Nerd Meltdown. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next video.
Later.